Support for NPR and the following message come from IXL Learning. IXL Learning uses advanced algorithms to give the right help to each kid no matter the age or personality. Get an exclusive 20% off IXL membership when you sign up today at IXL.com/NPR.
Hello. I'm Brittany Luce, and you're listening to It's Been a Minute from NPR, a show about what's going on in culture and why it doesn't happen by accident. Have you or someone you love been confused by the push to make America healthy again? If that's the case, then you, my friend, are in dire need of our new series, The Road to Make America Healthy Again.
Don't you want a president that's going to make America healthy again?
For the next few weeks, we're delving into some of the origins, conspiracy theories, and power grabs that have led us to this moment, and what that could mean for our health. For the final episode in our Road to MAHA series, we are talking about the one, the only, Oprah Winfrey.
She is the ultimate self-made woman story.
That is Dr. Kelly Carter Jackson, historian and co-host of You Get a Podcast, a show about the Queen of Talk.
And I think people look to her as someone who was highly relatable, as someone also saw as highly aspirational as well.
The impact of the Oprah Winfrey Show cannot be overstated. It was the place to go to talk about any and every hot topic. Celebrity interviews, relationship woes, family trauma. She had it all. Starting from its debut in 1986, the Oprah Winfrey Show was the #1 talk show in the country for 24 consecutive seasons.
By the time you get to the late 90s and certainly the 2000s, I mean, Oprah is a kingmaker. Oprah is the person that you want interviewing you. She is a tastemaker. If she says she likes Ugg boots, that's the new latest, greatest thing.
That influence, also called the Oprah effect, made her no stranger to controversy. In fact, in the 90s, she had an episode about mad cow disease. And after learning about the dangers of infected beef, she declared that she was done eating burgers. After that episode aired, Oprah was sued by the cattle industry, who claimed that her program led to an $11 million loss. This is also when Oprah would meet a psychologist by the name of Phil McGraw. We know him as Dr. Phil.
Dr. Phil was her trial coach. So that introduction was really like, what was he saying to Oprah to help this superwoman kind of get it together?
That is Dr. Marcia Chatelain, professor of Africana Studies at the University of Pennsylvania. After Dr. Phil helped Oprah through her trial, he eventually joined her show as a sort of no-nonsense self-help expert. And that led to his own Oprah-produced show called Dr. Phil. Heard of it? But that's not the only doctor that was put on by Oprah.
Welcome back, Dr. Oz.
Dr. Mehmet Oz, former heart surgeon and newly confirmed head of Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, also made his claim to fame on her show.
He's on her show for 62 times, to be exact, and it catapults him, really, into creating his own show that's on for over a dozen years.
And while both of these men started out as highly respected in their fields, over time they have left behind their traditional careers for the limelight. And that has come with some pretty bewildering political evolutions. Dr. Phil went from psychologist to talk show host to now joining the Trump administration's ICE raids in Chicago.
But you've never been deported before?
You Dr. Phil.
Yeah? How do you know me?
And while Dr. Oz started out as a well-regarded heart surgeon, about half of the recommendations made on his show were found to be unsupported by scientific evidence.
I know I've irritated some potential allies in our quest to make America healthy. No matter our disagreements, freedom of speech is the most fundamental right we have as Americans.
Both men have also come out in support of the right-wing Make America Healthy Again, or MAHA, political movement. And while Oprah has distanced herself from Dr. Oz, I think her show has become a time capsule of how we got to this cross-section between entertainment, politics, and health.
Oprah's show is all about you as an individual, what you need to do. She's also doing this during a period in the self-help movement and the New Age spirituality movement where it's moving from fringe to center.
So today, Kelly and Marsha join the show to walk us through how the Queen of Talk's influence may have led us to this moment in American healthcare.
This is the thing about Dr. Oz. He has charisma. He is personal. He knows how to take something that seems very complicated and make it sound simple for your everyday audience. Like, he knows what he's doing when he's in that room and he's sort of like shaking hands and kissing babies and making things make sense for people who are struggling with some really intimate, personal, bodily issues. And I think that kind of charisma and endearment is what brought him back time and time again. He becomes this authority because he's so likable.
I think a lot of people lose sight of the fact that he was actually someone who actively was looking to be a media doctor as well.
I did not realize that.
He wasn't necessarily plucked by Oprah, but he had been working a lot of different ways to try to be the face of medicine on television. And so I think that that's an important thing to note. And just like Dr. Phil was her trial coach when she was being sued by the beef industry,
Right.
It's her intimate contact with these people. And I think that this is important because what then happens is that she's also a business person. So she starts producing shows for them, or she starts getting them in contact to get a larger platform. And so I think that the problem with all of these people is that they were already primed. And I think they exhausted the capacities of the Oprah type audience. And then they took a right wing turn because who knows what the real politics of any of these people are.
Okay, so I have a good idea of why like Oprah was probably drawn to Dr. Oz. But how do you explain Dr. Phil? Like, you mentioned that he was Oprah's trial coach, to which I say, leak the practice tapes. Okay, stop being shy. Leak the practice tapes. We need to see. Okay, we need to see.
So we had always seen Oprah as this person who's overcoming everything, overcoming very traumatic childhood, overcoming the looksism and the fat phobia of the media.
And the colorism and of everything, yeah.
But Oprah's money was on the table with this lawsuit.
I remember.
And she, for the first time, was like, y'all, I was scared.
Yeah.
And this man got me all the way together. So that introduction was really like, what was he saying to Oprah to help this superwoman kind of get it together? And then on the show, he actually had some very good relationship advice. And then it started to do this thing that I think is also at the essence of self-help and capitalism. And it was an uplift philosophy that, while it was a little tough, wasn't that different than the kind of things that Oprah was saying on her show. Oprah's show is all about you as an individual, what you need to do.
This makes so much sense because I don't think people also realize that she voted Republican.
Hold on. Now, you're right. People didn't realize I'm people. I didn't realize that.
She talks about this. She talks about this on her show. She talks about the idea that she sort of voted both ways, but it's really not till Obama comes on the scene that she's like...
She's actively involving herself in politics.
Yes.
Right.
In an explicit way.
Yes. But she was very much, I would say, of a bootstrapper kind of ideology. So
I see.
She comes from Mississippi. She hails from poverty. She is the ultimate, self-made woman story. That's a very Americana kind of story, started from the bottom, now we're here. And so it makes a lot of sense to me that she would gravitate toward people who would push those same sort of ethics. I mean, listen, Donald Trump does the same kind of thing. Like, it shouldn't surprise any of us that he's on her show. You could say she gave him a platform as well.
So interesting. I mean, no, this is a lot to take in. This is a lot to take in. This is interesting. This is interesting. Coming up.
So much of that Puritan work ethic has guided our psyche as a country that, we don't value ourselves if we're not relentlessly tired and working and striving and, hustling.
This message comes from NPR sponsor Amazon Prime Video, presenting Common Ground, a film about the power of agriculture to reshape the planet through sustainable farming. Featuring Jason Momoa, Laura Dern, Donald Glover, Rosario Dawson, and Ian Somerhalder, Common Ground profiles a movement of farmers using regenerative models of agriculture that could balance the climate, save people's health, and stabilize America's economy. Streaming April 22nd, Earth Day, only on Prime.
This message comes from Schwab. At Schwab, how you invest is your choice, not theirs. That's why when it comes to managing your wealth, Schwab gives you more choices. You can invest and trade on your own. Plus, get advice and more comprehensive wealth solutions to help meet your unique needs. With award-winning service, low costs, and transparent advice, you can manage your wealth your way at Schwab. Visit schwab.com to learn more.
This message comes from Mint Mobile. If you're tired of spending hundreds on big wireless bills, bogus fees, and free perks, Mint Mobile might be right for you with plans starting from $15 a month. Shop plans today at mintmobile.com/switch. Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month 5 GB plan required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details. This message comes from Progressive Insurance. Progressive makes it easy to see if you could save when you bundle your home and auto policies. Try it at progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
So we have Dr. Oz, the former heart surgeon. We have Dr. Phil, the no-nonsense psychologist. I wonder, what is Oprah's personal brand here when it comes to self-improvement? Because she's not just platforming other people. She's definitely selling something too.
Oh, no question. I mean, I think part of it feels very prosperity gospel. Like, you can have the best of everything. You can be number one in everything. You can have wealth. You can have health. You can have the man. You can have the kids. You can have the home. You can have the style. You can have everything that you want. And that lifestyle feels extremely attractive. Not just then, but even now. I mean, if you look at influencers now on TikTok, all of that stuff is very tantalizing.
And I also think she set the scene for our expectation of what television does. I used to watch the old Phil Donahue shows, and a lot of those were very educational.
Oh, yeah.
Ralph Nader talking about consumer rights, debates about, gay marriage. Like, it was about exposing the world to these critical questions, right? And that evolved into here are things you can do to constantly be in a cycle of self-improvement. If you only have 1 hour of television a week because you're a working mom or you're a stressed out person working 3 jobs, then that hour is supposed to make you want to be or do or purchase something.
It is the perpetual sense of dissatisfaction that you are never good enough. You are never content. You are never, sort of just supposed to rest, that everything is about accumulation. I mean, even her Oprah's Favorite Things episodes was they grab at oh my gosh, I have to have this new panini maker. I have to have, it's do you need,
never had a panini, but I know I need the panini maker.
She's also doing this during a period in the self-help movement and the New Age spirituality movement where it's moving from fringe to center.
Yep.
And so it's no longer weird for someone to talk about meditation or manifesting things or visioning, right? You're also in a period where there's less stigma around therapy.
Yeah.
So why don't you get a workbook? Marianne Williamson is another one, lest we forget.
Yes. It's kind of like Oprah has a fabulous life. She managed to do it through grit, hard work, determination, and a little bit of luck. And now she wants to share the secrets of the spoils of this life with us.
All of these ideas advance very individual solutions. They never take into account systemic racism or structural racism. They never take into account patriarchy or capitalism or all of these big, huge barriers that people are facing. Listen, I love a good vision board. I love a good manifestation. But the idea that you can sort of conjure up wealth from poverty as though it's a matter of sheer will and not some sort of hard, arduous task of, building and saving relentlessly for the rest of your life, it just doesn't add up.
I have a question, though, about audience. The three of us are talking, and for those who don't know at home listening, we're all Black. So obviously I know that we were like, I think, an implied sector of Oprah's audience. But I don't think we were the only people that she was trying to reach, or the only people who were picking up what she was putting down.
No.
Talk to me about Oprah's audience then and now.
Primarily, Oprah's audience has been white, middle, and upper middle class women, many of whom we might call soccer moms, who are navigating marriage, children, who are suburbanites. As a Black woman who is dark-skinned, who is overweight, who is not married, who is childless, who is sort of your Jiminy Cricket on your shoulder, your conscience, the person who tells you how to make good decisions, the person who's somewhat scolding you, but always lovingly and always giving you sort of that comfort and that hug, is something that I think feels very comfortable to a lot of white audiences, even if they're not thinking of her in that way.
Oh, that's so interesting, because when I think about it, you're absolutely right, Kelly. When I think about Oprah's audience, I thought of it as definitely as middle-class white women, but I think that there was something for us who are actually probably a little too young to be watching this show, but here we are, like, because we were watching the show at like 8, 9, 10, 11, right? But it was also a way, I think, for it, I felt like women and girls. I remember watching it with my mom, and we talked about what was on Oprah, or there was an understanding that this might have been a grown-up show that I'm watching also, because I think it was also instructive about, like, what do women talk about? What do they think about? And apparently, according to Oprah, it was like your weight and the possibility your husband's going to leave you with no money. Like, those are the two things that I learned.
You know, and thinking about these different versions of Oprah, I think one of the things that kind of accelerated this change in Oprah is this bootstraps mentality was perhaps, you know, inspired by her own exceptionalism and overcoming poverty and abuse and so much more. And also this remembering your spirit, new age spirituality, the secret kind of thing, the same kind of stuff that was also espoused by the people that she's platformed, including Marianne Williamson, John of God. I wonder, why is this combination of individual personal responsibility and new age spirituality so attractive to so many people? And what are the dangers of this line of thinking?
It's the Puritan work ethic. You know what I mean? You take it back to like Puritans seeking religious persecution or fleeing religious persecution. That was their whole vibe. That if you didn't work hard, if you didn't struggle, if you didn't push, if you didn't sacrifice, then God was not going to bless you. And so much of that Puritan work ethic has guided our psyche as a country that, like, we don't value ourselves if we're not relentlessly tired and working and striving and, you know, hustling. And we also think that this spiritual connection, be it like evangelical Christianity or be it some sort of like, you know, foo-foo spirituality, like, we want to be able to ground those ideas in something that feels divine, because then it validates our work. And if they're not tethered together, then you lose meaning, you lose value.
That's really, really interesting. And so it's like, because that way of thinking, whether it's the Puritan work ethic or the Calvinism or prosperity gospel, or even Catholic guilt, there are so many different ways in which it shows up throughout, or even like, you know, like I think about the Black American bootstraps mentality or working twice as hard. Like, there are so many ways in which that uniquely American perspective, the model minority myth, show up across groups, right? Across groups in our country, that it makes sense that that unique combination would cut across every single sector of the American audience. That makes so much sense. You know, I wonder, have we seen another figure like Oprah since her time? Or was there even someone like her before her? Or is she completely unique in her influence in this way?
I think she's a once-in-a-lifetime talent because she is good at using her instincts. She understands people. She knows what they want. She knows how to pivot. I think she's, you know, creative, and I think she has all of the elements of like a true talent. I think what has happened is that everyone is doing a version of Oprah.
Yes, they are. Yes.
Everyone's a derivative. And so it's like, sure, there are a lot of people who will be successful, who may make more money than her or have bigger platforms, but they're all doing Oprah.
Yeah, a poor man's Oprah at that. I don't think, and call me biased, I just don't think that we will find someone in our generation, maybe in another 2 generations, but in our generation, that can do what Oprah has achieved in so many different spheres. If you look at her influence in the literary world, in the fashion world, in the political world, in the health and wellness world, in the spiritual world,
Film, Broadway, all of it.
Even in terms of the interview, like the queen of talk.
She did not have Instagram to start. She did not have a brand deal, right? Like the ways that she was able to navigate the advent of new technologies, really kind of go through the opening and closing of doors in media. I don't see anyone having to run that kind of race in order to get those kinds of skills.
Kelly, Marsha, this was so much fun. Thank you both so much.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
That was historian and co-host Dr. Kelly Carter-Jackson and professor of Africana Studies, Dr. Marsha Chatelain. And I'm going to put on my influencer hat for a second and ask you to please subscribe to this show on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you're listening. Click follow so you know the latest in culture while it's still hot. This episode of It's Been a Minute was produced by
Alexis Williams.
This episode was edited by
Nina Patak.
Our supervising producer is
Barton Girdwood.
Our executive producer is
Verilyn Williams.
Our VP of programming is
Yolanda Sanguini.
All right, that's all for this episode of It's Been a Minute from NPR. I'm Brittany Luce. Talk soon.
Support for NPR and the following message come from Rosetta Stone, the perfect app to achieve your language learning goals no matter how busy your schedule gets. It's designed to maximize study time with immersive 10-minute lessons and audio practice for your commute. Plus, tailor your learning plan for specific objectives like travel. Get Rosetta Stone's lifetime membership for 50% off and unlimited access to 25 language courses. Learn more at rosettastone.com/NPR. This message comes from Homes.com. The right agent can make or break your home search. That's why Homes.com provides an agent directory that details each agent's experience, so you can find the right one and ultimately the right home. Homes.com. We've done your homework. This message comes from Warby Parker. What makes a great pair of glasses? At Warby Parker, it's all the invisible extras without the extra cost, like free adjustments for life. Find your pair at warbyparker.com or visit one of their hundreds of stores around the country.